Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Hammer Territory podcast. I am Scott Coleman, and I am joined this evening by the great Stephen Tolbert. And Stephen, the Braves, as weird as this season have been, they have now won 4 series in a row. And let's just get right into this tonight. Hurston Waldrip is becoming a thing. I think not just with Braves fans, but even nationally, like the MLB Twitter account tonight gave Hurston a shout out. This dude looks like in a very short period of time that he might be a very real piece for the Atlanta Braves moving forward.
Yeah, what's up, buddy? It is almost a perfect encapsulation of what this season has been. When you look at what has happened lately, where the Braves basically have to survive Spencer Strider starts so they can thrive and Hurston Waldrip starts. Like, on what planet did anybody have that, on the bingo card in 2020? But that's just how this year has gone.
Yeah, you didn't have that segment in March when we were talking about
Yeah,
the season.
like just hold on for dear life in the Spencer Strider starts so that we can get to the shutdown performance from Hurston Waldrip. But that's what's happened. I mean, this kid an a 0.73 ERA in 4 starts with the Braves. I understand it's not against the best offenses in the world, but you and I talked about it on Sunday. Like, the White Sox were hot. Like, the White Sox can hit. They've got some young dudes that hit. I mean, Spencer Strider and Bryce Elder both learned the hard way. Like, these dudes are no joke. I know they're the White Sox. I know they don't win a lot, but they mainly don't win a lot because they don't pitch. They've got some dudes that can hit, and they did nothing tonight against Hurston Waldrip. This splitter, slider, curveball combo thing he's got going is just nasty as hell. And, it's allowing him to use his fastball, which was unusable last year. He's racking up strikeouts. He's got a FIP in the ones.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like crazy, there's not like a massive regression monster coming. It's wild. It really is. And man, you cannot overstate, and we have said it multiple times with how much injury risk there is attached to this rotation. You cannot overstate the value of having a guy this cheap, this young, under this much control, this many team options or club options, minor league options being available next year. It's just going to be, it's going to make the offseason substantially easier for Alex if this continues. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but if it continues at this rate, my God, what a story.
What a story indeed. And you mentioned, so now in 24 and 2/3 innings, Hurston Waldrip has a 0.73 ERA, a 1.90 FIP, and a 3.07 xFIP. He has legitimately been as good as any starting pitcher in the National League over these last few weeks. And I'm glad you mentioned the White Sox are actually kind of like a sneaky good offense, especially lately. They've called up some players. They've moved around some pieces post-trade deadline. I believe they came into the day 4th in all of baseball in WRC Plus in the second half of the year. And we just saw, they put up 23 runs in the first 2 games of this series. And they got nothing tonight. It wasn't even like they just ran into some bad sequencing. Waldrip went 7 innings, only gave up 4 hits and 1 walk. One of those hits and the one and only walk came to the first 3 batters of the game. So after that, he was even more in cruise control. Seemed like in the first inning, Waldrip didn't have great command. But, dude, after that, it was just smooth sailing, 7 strikeouts. And you said it, that splitter, and when he has other stuff, even close to the plate, these big league hitters just don't know what to do against him.
Yeah, and I thought that was another moment, like in the first inning, where last year's Hurston Waldrip and this year's Hurston Waldrip diverge, right? Because I feel like last year, you start out that first inning and in a decent amount of trouble, you're giving up, last year he's given up 2, 3, 4 runs in that inning. Just happened every time. And this year he just kind of smoothly gets out of it. And he's so much more confident on the mound. I know like one of the hits was like a blue pit from Robert. It's like a 70-mile-an-hour blue pit. Another one was like an 80-mile-an-hour blue pit. Like, it was, and you and I talked about it last time we talked. Like, the dude does not give up hard contact. He doesn't give up barrels. He misses bats. He's got like a 27% strikeout rate, which is plenty good. You can thrive at that. I think he's got like a 52% ground ball rate. You add all that together, plus the arsenal. plus all the peripherals, like it really does look legitimate. It's not going to be, listen, he's not going to pitch to an 0.73 ERA for the rest of his career, but like a solid mid rotation, even if everything clicks, a top rotation guy. He was a first round pick. I mean, he's got the pedigree for it. So yeah, just incredible. All the credit in the world to him because he's clearly made changes. He's clearly, he is adjusted once he got to the upper minors and he hit a wall. He had to adjust and he did it. And that's also speaks volumes for, like, at some point the big leagues are going to adjust to him and he's going to have to adjust again. And the fact that he's already done it and had this much success and been willing to do it is a good sign for when that inevitably happens at this level, because it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And he's already shown he's a willingness and an ability to do it. And that's not a small thing.
There was a really cool clip of Hurston Waldrip and Rick Kranitz. I think it was in his most recent start before tonight. And he had just finished up his game. He threw 6 innings in Cleveland. And Kranitz was saying something, and Waldrip was locked in and listening to every single word. Eye contact, paying attention. Like, clearly this kid wants to be great. And he does deserve credit for making the adjustments because, frankly, up until he reached the upper levels of the minors with the Braves, he's probably never really run into roadblocks in his entire life playing baseball. I mean, he's a first-round pick. He was dominant in college. I'm sure he was dominant in high school, little league. I mean, ever since he's probably 5 years old, this kid's been the best player on the field. And sometimes players don't know how to react when they have some adversity. And they, of course, have their coaching with the Braves, and then they have outside coaching and advisors who work with them. I mean, this kid, if you want to, maybe I'll do this sometime if I'm bored because I'm a crazy person, but put on Waldrop's start last year when he debuted against the Nationals and then put on one of his starts these last couple of weeks. You wouldn't believe it's the same pitcher unless I told you going into it.
Yeah. And listen, that's another thing that we probably need to mention more. We probably don't mention enough. Like, the Braves need to keep Rick Kranitz at all costs. Like, I know there's going to be turnover on the coaching staff in the offseason. That dude is just awesome at his job. Like, the Braves pitching development in the upper minors and at the major league level has been absurdly good. I know they haven't been able to keep guys healthy, but that's not on Kranitz. He's very clearly awesome at his job. I don't think Sean Murphy and Drake Baldwin get enough credit for, and especially Murphy because he was here last year. I don't think Murph gets enough credit for what he does with the pitching staff. There was a moment in tonight's game where Waldrop had an 11 pitch at bat. He was near the end of his start. He had an 11 pitch at bat. He finally got an out. Murphy took the slowest walk I've ever seen a human being take in my life out to the mound. He stood out there forever, made the umpire come get him, took the slowest walk I've ever seen coming back. He gave Waldrop like a 3 or 4 minute break in the middle of an inning. And he got out of it. And like, that's the stuff that like pros, like heady veteran catchers do. And Murph has never gotten enough credit for. The Braves had the best ERA in baseball last year, and Murph never got the credit he deserved for that. And I don't think he gets enough credit for what he does with the guys this year. And yeah, but you got to keep Rick Kranitz. Whatever happens with the coaching staff next in the offseason, you better keep this guy as your pitching coach.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point. I don't think we've really talked about that. We've talked around, of course, that this is likely going to be Snit's final year with the Braves, and presumably a new manager will come in and want his own guys, or at least some of his own guys on the coaching staff. But in that interview process, you better believe if Alex Anthopoulos is not saying, look, if you want to bring in a new hitting coach, I'm not going to fight you. If you want to bring in your own first and third base and bench coaches, go ahead. But I could not agree more. If they let Rick Kranitz go over this offseason, that would be a huge loss. I mean, people talk about losing Ron Washington and Eric Young, and I agree wholeheartedly with that. Losing Rick Kranitz for what he has done for this pitching staff in recent years would be, that would be a huge loss for this team.
Yeah. And I've never heard, it's not normal that like your pitching coach would become your manager. Like, that's not usually the path that's taken. It's like usually the bench coach is like, like everybody, I've just kind of been working under the assumption that Walt Weiss is going to be the next manager. I don't know that for sure but he's been with Snit for like 9 years as his bench coach. He's managed in the big leagues. He played for the Braves. Like, it makes all the sense in the world. And I don't know if Rick Kranitz has any interest in being the manager, but whatever happens, unless he's the manager, I really hope the plan is to keep him around as the pitching coach, because ever since he's come on board, I mean, you see it with the young. I mean, you mainly see it with the young guys, like you're talking about with that conversation with Waldrop, where like, he's obviously very good at getting guys to calm down, to breathe, to make adjustments. He obviously has a very good, communication. Very, he can get across his point, and that's not always easy, especially when you're dealing with generational gaps. You could have a 40-year-old pitcher and a 20-year-old pitcher on your staff. You got to be able to talk to both of them.
Yeah.
And he's obviously very good at it. So yeah, I hope they keep him.
And really, pitching was the story of Wednesday night's game. It was a 1-0 win for the Braves. The only run of the game came across on a weak bouncer from Ozzie Albies that was bobbled. So the Braves got one run, I think, in the 3rd or 4th inning, and that was it. And in relief of Waldrip, Pierce Johnson came in, was nails. Raisel Iglesias continued to be awesome. I think he got 3 outs on 8 pitches maybe. And it was really impressive tonight from the pitching staff. And of course, now the Braves are off on Thursday, so kind of give that bullpen a breather, keep everybody fresh. We've got about 5.5 weeks left in the season, and games like tonight mean a lot to keep your bullpen, because we know, especially if they get to a point eventually when they shut down Waldrip, they shut down Strider, the innings are going to be at a premium, and they're going to need people to be somewhat healthy and fresh in order to make it to the finish line.
Yeah, it was like a 2-hour, right? Like right at a 2-hour game tonight. Just rapid pace game. Obviously, it's a 1-0 game. It is funny. These two teams scored 3 million runs in the first 2 games, and then the Braves won a 1-0 game. The fact that they're winning these one-run games now is just hysterical. I mean, like, of course, now that the season is basically over, they're winning almost every one-run game they're playing. But yeah, the offense didn't have a great night, but it's also a massive thing. And I didn't think about this until just now, that like Strider and Elder had very short starts. And like, so the bullpen was probably pretty down tonight. Like there's probably 3 or 4 guys not available tonight. And Hurston went through 7 easy. Yeah. He probably could have gone 8. I'm actually pretty impressed that Snit didn't do that. Normally Snit tries to get one more inning out of a guy. But yeah, Pierce Johnson, Raisel Iglesias, it just makes me laugh every time I see him pitching for the Braves. It's unbelievable. But yeah, he's been hot. So got the save. Off day, and the Mets coming to town, and that's going to be a fascinating series on multiple levels.
Yes, it is. So we're going to talk about the Mets series a little bit later in the show. We also have some good injury news and bad injury news that we're going to talk about here. But first, we're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors.
The dog days of summer means the MLB is fully heating up, and so is your shot to score big. Download the Pick 6 app for the easiest way to turn your baseball takes into actual cash. It's crazy simple. Just pick more or less on the stats for 2 or more of your favorite players, and boom, you are in the mix for big cash prizes. No gimmicks, no weird rules. And get this, all new Pick 6 customers will instantly get $50 in bonus picks on just a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. New customers play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks instantly. Ride the upside where a few bucks can turn into a bag only on DraftKings Pick 6. Crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. 8/24/25 at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
All right, Stephen. So we got 2 pieces of injury news today. We'll start with the not as positive one. So Austin Riley, who has been on and off the injured list for about a month and a half at this point, during his media availability today, Brian Snitker said that Austin is actually going to travel to Philadelphia to see a medical specialist about this lower abdominal issue that he has been dealing with. There was some concern that Riley might be dealing with a sports hernia, which would not be great. Of course, if it is a sports hernia, that would end his 2025. I'm guessing we should probably get some clarity on this, maybe Thursday, maybe Friday, depending on when Riley sees the doctor. But not great news. I guess it is at least somewhat reassuring that now he is seeing a specialist who should be able to give him a little bit of clarity.
Yeah, you kind of felt this coming because every single update was a bad one. It was like, Austin's running today and he still felt pain. Austin's running today and it still grabbed him. Austin's running today, and he still, it still hurts. Like, we did this for like a week, and it's like, all right, well, maybe we should stop running the guy, first of all. And second of all, clearly something more than just just pulled muscle or whatever. And obviously we got the news today that it could be a sports hernia. Like you said, that's going to be, multiple weeks, depending on the severity. If that's what it is, effectively ending is 2025. There's very, very little reason to even try. Even if it's not a sports hernia, I'm not sure how aggressive I would be, like just trying to get him back. It's different for pitchers because you want to set up their off season and you want to get them to a certain amount of pitches and innings to help next year. With hitters, it's the thresholds just aren't the same. I don't really know that I would be pushing too hard to get Austin Riley back. Nacho's done pretty well over there. It's not like, the team's not going anywhere anyways. So let him rest, let him, whatever it is, even if it's a sports hernia, there could be surgery attached to it. We should say that. I don't think would ever be anything that would, affect 2026, but it's not a great development. Of course, everybody was hoping to see Austin back before the season was over. The news today probably meant that's pretty unlikely to happen.
So we'll see what the recommended treatment plan will be. Maybe it's rest and recovery and some rehab. Maybe it is surgery. At least Austin does have the calendar on his side when it comes to 2026. Again, not doctors, but I can't imagine this is something that will linger into next season. And of course, we want him to have as normal of an off season as he can, because this was a weird year for Riley, and it was an injury riddled year in 2024 too. Obviously, the Braves need more out of this guy. We have seen him at his very best just carry this lineup for weeks at a time. But it's now, I think it's probably fair to say that with the injuries included, it's been back-to-back disappointing years for Riley.
Oh yeah, even when he's healthy, he has I think even if he doesn't play again this year, I think he logged 450 plate appearances, maybe 500 plate appearances this year, and he's got a 104 WRC plus. So, that's well below his standard. Not even just what the Braves expect or need, but like I'm sure that's incredibly far below what he expects of himself. Like, we're not saying anything that Austin wouldn't tell you himself. Like he knows he needs to be better than that, and the Braves definitely need him. But you can't do any of that until you get healthy. And he's had 2 years where he's not been healthy. Especially, I think 2024 and 2025 are going to end up being season-ending injuries in August. I can't remember exactly when he broke his.
That sounds right.
Wasn't it in August?
It was August because they thought, okay, if he has 6 to 8 weeks, maybe he's back for the playoff push or the first round of the postseason. But then, it was clear he was not going to be back. Yeah.
So this will be the second year in a row the season ended in August after, not a great performance leading up to that point. So 2026 is going to be a big year for Austin Riley, and everything begins with being healthy. So let's hope it's good news. Whatever it is, he can get it fixed and get into 2026 at the very least feeling good, and that leads to better production.
And in some, I guess, better injury news, we do know that Spencer Schwellenbach was effectively shut down in terms of pitching in major league games, but Spencer was out on the field on Wednesday. Our good friend Grant McCauley thought he probably threw 40 or 50 pitches, was throwing, looked good, looked healthy. And it seems like as long as everything continues to progress in the right direction, that Spencer Schwellenbach is hoping to throw a live batting practice before the end of the season, just to kind of have something to build off of, clear that mental hurdle, and ideally go into the offseason 100% healthy.
Yeah, so these are the ones where it really does matter, like how far he gets in his rehab before the season ends, because it obviously dictates the offseason. Like if he gets to the point where he's throwing bullpens or live BP, where he's actually letting it go full tilt from a mound, that's a big deal. That is even if you never see him in a game, it lets him know exactly where he is going to the offseason and what he needs to do, versus just having it be a giant mystery. Like I didn't throw a live bullet for the last, 3 months of the season. I have no idea where my arm's at. If you get to the point where you're throwing bullpens before the season ends, at least where you're at when the season was over, and therefore what you need to do in the offseason. So yeah, it's a big deal, even if we never see him in games. So those are updates to follow, but it's really good news that he's already at this point. another guy. Obviously, the Braves, God, it would be so helpful to have Spencer Schwellenbach healthy and available in 2026. But, with the injury luck the Braves have had the last couple of years, who knows?
And I mean, it's really easy to dream on this rotation in 2026, man.
100%.
Like,
yeah.
you get a healthy or mostly healthy Chris Sale, Spencer Schwellenbach, Hurston Waldrip, the way he's throwing the ball, Spencer Strider with a normal offseason. Let's all cross our fingers and hope that he's more like himself. I mean, that's a fantastic 1 through 4. We'll see what happens with Ronaldo Lopez, Grant Holmes. Braves could always add somebody in the offseason, maybe 2 somebodies in the offseason, which is probably prudent given the number of injuries this team has had. But,
what does this Joey Wentz thing look like? Yeah.
Yeah. So there's some reasons for optimism here, even if I guess every team in baseball has some kind of injury concern with their rotation at basically every single day of the year. And I feel like the last couple of years, especially the Braves have just gotten unusually killed by injuries to their starters. But there's some pieces here, Stephen. Like there's a real world where you can tell yourself a story without having to connect too many dots that this team could and probably should be right back at the top of the division and contending for the World Series this time in 9 months on opening day.
Oh yeah. I mean, they had the best ERA in baseball last year, like with a lot of the same guys. And if Hurston Waldrip, if this is like real for Hurston Waldrip, if this is even close to real for Joey Wentz, I'm guessing that, if you look at the other 6 guys, Sale, Strider, Schwellenbach, Lopez, Holmes, AJ Smith-Shawver, you look at all those guys, obviously a lot of injury risks. Some of those are not going to go well. It's just the nature of how, you have this many injury concerns. Some go poorly, some go well.
Yeah.
Those are the numbers. What you can't have is it all go poorly. Like you just need some average injury luck is kind of what the Braves are due for. I'm not asking for like perfect injury luck. I'm just looking for like average injury luck because the last 2 years they've just been decimated by injuries. Yeah. So get a couple of those guys pitching healthy. If you get Sale, Schwellenbach, and Hurston Waldrip and something from Ronaldo Lopez, like even if the other guys aren't there, like you can still build a decent rotation, maybe add somebody in the offseason. Yeah, it's got plenty of potential.
Yeah, it really does. So we'll keep an eye on Riley and on Schwellenbach these final 6 weeks, see what we can hear. Hopefully good news on both ends as a gigantic boom of thunder goes off outside. We'll see if my house is still standing in 5 minutes, Stephen. All right, so we're going to take another quick break here to hear from a word from our partners on the podcast. But we do have a fun segment where we're going to talk a little bit about realignment in Major League Baseball. We're also going to preview the Mets series. More on that in just a moment.
FT fam, when you're playing in games, you kind of have some stress, anxiety. Teammates need something to help. Now it's at your fingertips with Rula.
That's right. Telehealth has been a huge help for millions of people, but it can be time-consuming and expensive to find the right therapist. Rula is on a mission to make this process smoother. And make sure you go to rula.com/Val for more details. They take most major insurance plans, and the average copay is only about $15 per session. Every provider on Rula is carefully vetted and chosen for their expertise. Thousands have already trusted Rula to support them on their journey toward improved mental health and overall well-being. Head on over to rula.com/Val to get started today. After you sign up, they ask you where you heard about them. Please say that FT sent you there to support the show, but also worry about yourself here at rula.com, RULA.com/FOUL, and take the first step towards better mental health today. You deserve quality care from someone who cares.
All right, Stephen. So this is going to be a little bit of a tease of an episode that we are going to have on the network on Thursday. So if you are not subscribed, if you don't tune in, if you don't follow us on YouTube, please hit those buttons so you can get this in your feed in the next 24 hours or so. But all the talk this week in Major League Baseball is about realignment and expansion. Rob Manfred went on Sunday Night Baseball and talked about it, and talked pretty openly about a desire to not only expand by probably 2 teams, but also redo some of the divisions that have really been in place for years now, decades at this point. to make them a little more geographically convenient, because some of them are geographically convenient and some of them are not at all. So I wanted to get your take. The prevailing idea here, if folks have not seen, is the Braves would basically be in a Southeastern division, probably with the Miami Marlins, the Tampa Bay Rays, and then presumably an expansion team, maybe in Charlotte, maybe in Nashville. Those are two popular cities. I mean, at first glance, we don't know what the schedule would look like. We don't know what the game breakdown would look like. But if you're telling me there's a world, the Braves could be in a division with the Marlins, the Rays, and an expansion team, I mean, I would take that all day long.
Yeah, expansion is always tied to realignment, right? Like the two always get grouped together because obviously, and baseball has made no secret of the fact that they want to get to 32 teams. They want a more NFL-like model. They've seen, that's been it's not even been a secret. I think they've just openly said it multiple times. And so if you go to 32 teams, and it obviously makes a lot more sense to have 8 4-team divisions, just like the NFL does. So how you do that, I mean, you can throw a rock in the ocean and hit somebody's brand new realignment map. Like there's a million of them out there. Everybody's got an opinion of this team should be with this team. And Sean and I will get into that a lot more depth on tomorrow's show. But what I will say is this. It is crazy that the Braves have operated this long as the only team in the southeastern part of the United States. Like there's an entire SEC football footprint that's like 9 states where like there's one baseball team. It's crazy. And I don't know how they've done it. I'm sure they love it because it makes their footprint massive. But, and listen, I understand there's Florida, there's the Miami Marlins and the Tampa Bay. There's not a soul alive that considers South Florida part of the Southeast.
Yeah.
Like that's not even the same, it's not even the same culture, same region, anything. So like a team in Charlotte, a team in Nashville makes all the sense in the world. They're any kind of expansion that's done, I'm guessing one of them is in the Southeast. It almost has to be. Like you don't need another Northeast team. I'm getting what I've seen most is one team in the Southeast and one team in the Northwest is kind of the layout that I've seen, which makes a lot of sense just on TV markets. Like Charlotte, there's no reason Charlotte shouldn't have a baseball team, quite honestly. So we'll see what happens. It is a fascinating conversation. People get very mad because like they see these realignment maps and like, I saw one where the Braves were in the American League. I saw one where like the Reds were in the American League, the Phillies. Some of these teams have been around for like 140 years and in the National League the whole time. Like, people get really upset about that. So there's some history you have to pay attention to and you probably need to respect a little bit. But it's coming. They're going to 32 teams. That's inevitable.
Yeah. So again, Stephen and Sean are going to do a full-on show. There's an off day on Thursday. Makes perfect time to talk about this. We'll see. We also have this pending collective bargaining agreement coming up with the league and the Players Association that seems like it's going to get really ugly, just like it was a few years ago. I mean, it's a hot time in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, and I did want to add, because this matters, it came out a couple of days ago. So MLB has been negotiating brand new TV rights deals all over. I don't know if you saw this. The report out a couple of days ago is they're selling MLB TV to ESPN. They're getting out of Apple completely. They're going to Peacock and NBC for the Friday night stuff. It's not a coincidence that all of this is happening at the same time as TV deals are being negotiated. Like, with expansion probably comes expanded playoffs. Unfortunately, I hate expanded playoffs, but it makes the league a ton of money and you can sell your TV rights for a lot more money if you have more teams, if you have more playoff games. Like all of this is connected. It's not a coincidence that all of this is happening at the same time. So as you see reports come out of MLB getting out of this TV and into ESPN, into NBC, Peacock, stuff like that, all of this is connected.
Yeah. It feels like in 3 years, 4 years, Major League Baseball, as we kind of know it today, is going to look very, very different then, I mean, it makes sense. And TV deals have changed dramatically over the last decade with people cutting the cord and streaming. And I mean, there's just so many dollars at play here, and we'll see how it all shakes out. So again, we'll have that show a little bit later in the week.
And I'll add this, the Braves regional TV deal is up in the end of next year. I think next year is the last
Finally.
year.
Wasn't it like a 20-year deal or something crazy like that?
And one of the worst deals in sports what, for in terms of the Braves side. Now the TV side got an incredible bargain. They did renegotiate it like 5 or 6 years ago to get it more like middle of the pack. For a long time, it was arguably the worst TV deal in the sport. But that finally comes up at the end of next year, I think for 2027. Mm-hmm. So not only, on a national level is MLB going to be changing, a lot of TV stuff. The Braves on a regional level could be, they could build out their own streaming service, which is a lot of teams do. They could start their own network. A lot of markets the size of the Braves, Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, Cubs, like they don't sell their rights to a regional network. They have their own network. So we'll see. There's a lot of ways the Braves could go.
Yeah, the media stuff is going to be fascinating over the next couple of years because there's not fewer people watching. They're just watching in a million different ways compared to 20 years ago where you'd flip on your TV and the game would be on the same channel every night. And that was kind of like the one and only way to watch. And I guess, of course, you have the radio. So we will see. All right, Stephen, one last thing before we get out of here. The New York Mets are coming to Atlanta for the final time this year on Friday. The Braves, of course, took 2 out of 3 from New York last week and are 7-3 against New York this year. So it's a chance to twist the knife a little bit deeper into the New York Mets, who have been really going through it. They lost again on Wednesday. Let's make life a little more difficult for these guys who are just hanging on for dear life in the wild card race.
Yeah, I've been keeping up with it just because it's one of the only interesting races out there. But the National League wild card race, kind of the, really the third team is kind of the big race right now. The Cubs and the Padres are pretty locked into those first 2 spots at the moment. But the Mets lost tonight, which means they're only half a game up on the Reds, and the Reds haven't played yet today, and they're playing on the West Coast. So if the Reds win tonight, the Mets and the Reds are tied for that last wild card spot. So
go Reds.
Yeah, go Reds. Exactly. I'm about to become a big Reds fan. But yeah, the Mets come to town. I think it's Joey Wentz.
It'll be Joey Wentz, Eric Fetty, and then Spencer Strider this weekend for the Braves.
Right. So, it's going to be another Strider start against the Mets. Those have not typically gone very well. So that's another data point to watch with Spencer. But we get to see Joey Wentz again on Friday night. Every start he makes, matters for the Braves just in terms of 2026. But yeah, let's go ruin the Mets season. Like, I know playing spoiler is not nearly as fun as being in the playoffs yourself, but it's better than just rolling over and playing dead for these teams. Go play spoiler, go take 2 out of 3 like you did in New York. The Braves, Truist Park has been a house of horrors for the Mets. If you go back and look since that place opened, the Mets cannot win there. So yeah, go beat the crap out of the Mets. Let's at least make it fun.
I believe I saw this stat about a week ago when they won that series in New York, but I believe now the Braves have beaten the Mets in the season series 8 consecutive years. Going back to when the Braves were terrible, even before the division run, they have just flat out owned the Mets. And I mean, you want to talk about some of the most fun moments of this entire run the Braves had. Remember they swept them in 2022 in order to win the division. Do I remember that right?
Yeah, they beat DeGrom, Scherzer, and Bassett, who were their 3 best pitchers. That you remember, Dansby hit a homer in every game. Matt Olson hit a homer in every game.
They were all prime time, I think, if memory. Like one was on TBS, one was on ESPN, one was on Big Fox.
And that was the second to last series of the year, and that was effectively to win the division. Now it didn't actually. They had to win one more against the Marlins in the next series, which they did. But yeah, I mean, so many awesome. Like there was a game last year where Pete Alonso hit a home run and started talking shit to Bryce Elder, and the Braves came back and just beat the brakes off of them the rest of the year. Or I don't know if that was last year. That might have been 2 years ago, but it was just. It's fun to beat the Mets. I can't stand the Mets. I hate the Mets. Go beat the Mets.
Yes, go beat the Mets. Indeed, they're the marching orders for the weekend. Stephen, we're going to get out of here. Any final thoughts here? The Braves, another series win, another fantastic outing from Hurston Waldrip. Good vibes right now around this team, even in a season that's been really challenging.
Yeah. And I'm having fun. Like, I don't want to lose. I don't want to just lose games. I don't want to lose 100 games. Go spoil good teams. Going to Cleveland and sweeping that series was fun. Beating the Mets is fun. Like, I want to beat the Mets again. I know the Braves aren't going anywhere, but they'll have a good draft no matter where they draft. Let's get some vibes. The Hurston Waldrip story is just insane.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be something to watch the rest of the year. Joey Wentz, of course, pitches on Friday. Spencer Strider, what happens with him? There's still plenty to look at and talk about.
There really is. And again, as always, thank you to everybody for tuning in. We've had some good moments this year. God knows we've had some bad moments, but we really do appreciate the continued support for the show. And I'm going to make one little plea here in the final seconds of the show. If you are an audio listener, if you would do us a gigantic favor, go to our Hammer Territory YouTube channel and subscribe. We're trying to get to a big round number, which would be great. Of course, if you're a longtime listener, we never even touched video until about 9 months ago. So we have navigated that over the last year. And if you're watching us on YouTube, 1, thank you. And 2, if you don't already, please subscribe. That way you'll know whenever Stephen and Sean do this realignment episode on Thursday. And of course, then we're also going to do our usual spot on Sunday night, recapping the Mets series. It'll be in your feeds and easy to take in audio, video, however you get your shows.
Yeah, and we appreciate it. Just incredible support that we've gotten. And yeah, the YouTube thing is new for us. We're still working through it, but you guys have found us pretty well over there. We're just trying to grow it. It just helps everybody to grow it. So yeah, if you're an audio, even if you don't really watch it on YouTube, just, go click that subscribe button. It just helps us. It helps us grow the channel, get it out there a little bit more.
It really does. Hit the little thumbs up icon. Again, takes 5 seconds out of your day. We really do appreciate it. All right, Stephen, we're going to get out of here. A nice series for the Braves. Hopefully they can continue their winning ways against the Mets this weekend. He is Stephen Tolbert at B_outliers on Twitter. I'm Scott Coleman at ScottColeman55. We'll be back with a couple more shows this week, and we will see everybody next time.